All right, guys, welcome tonight.
Welcome.
Echo.
Do you?
Redemption. I hear a little bit of one. It just sounds like there's a window open though. Thank you guys for joining us. So we're on StreamYard tonight. We're going to try this out. Yeah, I hear a little bit of an echo. I'm trying to figure out where that might be coming from.
I do not.
Not horrible. You don't have any extra windows open or anything?
One second.
Okay. Happy Friday, you guys. Happy Friday.
Nope, no windows.
Okay.
Bad weather in Florida. I swear, Teddy mad. Says Olga.
That goes not terrible, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm going to just look at one thing, mic settings, and just do reduce background noise, mic volume maybe. Mic settings. Yes, happy Friday. All right, guys, we're going to try this again. Our Ted Bundy special.
Good evening, Lynn Banks.
All right, guys, before we kick this off, Will and I were just discussing, I wanted to share a little bit about mental health because of the Perez Hilton situation. I don't know if any of you saw that this week, but it was quite disturbing. I did not see it myself, and I decided I'm not going to look for it either. So I just wanted to share this resource with you if you're having really dark thoughts. Reach out. There's help. There's someone you can talk to about that. Obviously, it got to the point for him where it was a little late. Luckily, that was in Miami. The police were able to get into the home and subdued him pretty much and take him to the hospital for evaluation. So I just wanted to share that. It was weighing heavy on me this week. I don't know if you saw it, Will. Did you see it?
Oh, yeah.
What were your thoughts? And you guys in chat, if you saw it and you thought it was disturbing, feel free to share with us your thoughts. Didn't even watch it, but I could tell it was something I don't ever want to look up and run across. So tonight, we've got our presentation, and Will was kind enough to compile this for us. Yeah, we're praying for him to have peace too. Microphone too close. I don't know if that's it exactly. Is that any better? Maybe I had my volume up too loud.
You sound perfectly good to me. So.
Oh, but then I can't hear Will if I turn my volume down. I think it's one of those things where I need headphones. Well, it's not terrible, so. All right. So Will was kind enough to compile these questions. And number one up on the board here, did Ted Bundy always attack women he personally knew, or were they all strangers? Will, do you want to kick that one off?
The answer is no. Although he knew some of the victims, he encountered them through social circles. Many were complete strangers, and he attacked them or approached them, and then attacked them in public places, or he lured them through complete deception, using the ruse of an injured student or professor, and unable to carry books or unlock his door to his car. He used this ruse over and over again. So, but no, he didn't. He didn't just attack women he knew.
It's interesting that you hear that term, that he was able to have this separate life in his mind, but then had an alter ego that would flip on a switch, and that didn't seem to spill into his personal life, which is so hard to believe that.
Yeah.
And definitely used his charisma. I think, for example, the sailing, needing help to put the sailboat into the water. It's, you think of like a classy person when you think of sailing. You're not thinking of a grungy fisherman guy who kind of looks sketchy, right? The guy was saying, "Oh, could you help me with my sailboat? My arm's broken," and just very smart with his tactics for sure.
I don't know if it was necessarily a separation, of having two different, he was a psychopath, and I think he was playing along most of his life to adhere to social norms and what people believe that he should be or how he should have acted. But yeah, you have to remember the time that he looked at him. People look back on Bundy and they look at him and they go, "I would never date him, or I'd never go near him. He looks creepy. He's not handsome." But you have to think of the context of the 1970s and how did he fit in? What did he look like? He didn't have to be, the pinup, playboy, playmate or whatever the hell it is. It didn't have to be that. All he had to do was just look good enough to fill the part, and everybody just assumed that he was nothing of danger. So
I don't think a lot of people want to admit, and let me know if the mic is any better. I need some adjustments here. I want to show this mugshot because he was just the master of changing his look. Is it not amazing that all of these photos are Ted Bundy?
yeah.
Top left doesn't even look anything like, he obviously grew his hair out. The bottom one under that decided, okay, I'm going to do a mustache. Always very clean cut though, but definitely different looks, different hairstyles. Even the parts are different.
True.
All right. Question 2. Did Ted Bundy target women who looked like his former girlfriend?
Well, that is an simplified explanation that a lot of people like to give to Bundy. Yes, a lot of his victims did have the same body, type, and look of his girlfriend, long hair, They parted it, in the middle. Um, they had the same physical characteristics of his ex-girlfriend, but there was no single profile that that each and every one of the victims had. Either some of them had colored their hair, some of them didn't. Some of them had long straight hair, some of them had wavy hair. Some of them were tall and skinny and professional looking. Others just looked like a typical college student. Yeah, so there was no one, MO that fits across each and every one. If you can find the profile picture of each and every one of the victims, from starting from Washington State and moving, to Florida. So,
Gosh, and it was such a span across the country too. When you think about how he was able to do this, it's quite frightening.
with ease, because he didn't care.
Absolutely.
It never bothered him one bit. He would get one, do what he wanted, and dispatch of them. Some of them, I shouldn't say some, but a lot of them, he would come back to over and over again until they're
And he had a
until they're
relationship early on where he was rejected, right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
And some people think that that may have triggered him into this spiral, but you don't really have any evidence of that, or if he
Bundy,
was doing this at a very young age.
well, Bundy's psychopathy, started a lot long, earlier than he ever started killing. Um, Before he was even a teenager, he was already thinking about, and planning um, how to become someone bigger, than himself. Uh, he Trying to figure the best way to put this is, fake it till you make it. Bundy wanted to be a star athlete. He wasn't. The only thing that he could do even remotely good was ski, snow ski. And he didn't have the money or the funds because of where he was and who his parents were. They couldn't afford it, so he stole it. And then he faked his way onto the ski lifts, and all he had to do basically was come up with gas money to get there, or he'd go along with different groups, and he didn't have money for a ticket, so find a coat, and steal a ticket, or something to get so he could participate, and be bigger, and go along with the group. But when it came to him, thinking about and planning murders, it happened a lot long earlier than he ever did before he killed his first girl, and was that Tacoma Tumwater area. To answer Ivor Lady's question about feeling inadequate, he he felt like his mother and his adopted father could never give him the lifestyle that he deserved, and he really had a lot of resentment towards his mother for marrying his stepfather who adopted him. So that was throughout his entire life, and his conversations when he sat down and talked with Bill Hagmeyer, who is the FBI agent, um, towards the last part of his life before his death sentence. Bill Hagmeyer spent over 200 hours interviewing him and just sitting around and talking with him about anything and everything that Bundy wanted to talk about. A vast majority of them were videotaped and audio recorded, but the FBI won't release a lot of those records that are not redacted, because he talked about murders of women, abuse of women that were never identified. So, and they refused to release the information about those cases. Jennifer, we can't hear you at all.
All right.
There you go. You're back.
Yeah, I was trying to play around. I can hear an echo, and I don't know why. I'll have to do some research. I thought we were like in the good, but that's why I'm not talking as much, guys. I don't want to drive you nuts with the echo. Also, Will probably knows way more about this case anyway. I was going to say, I feel like there was also a component of compulsion where he couldn't even control himself. And he had this urge to go out and do it. And then after he did it, he was kind of like, oh, he felt relieved. But then that would creep back up. And he seemed to so badly want to fit into society and met his girlfriend, Liz, who happened to have a daughter. And they speak very highly of him today, which is just hard to comprehend.
With in the interview with Bill Hagemeyer, and he's trying to get him to give an actual number to how many homicides he committed, and he eventually narrowed it down and said that he committed 30 homicides. But later, right after that, he was talking to Bundy, and he asked him, he goes, "Did you ever feel remorse for what you did?" And Bundy looked right at him, straight in the eyes, and said, "No, I never felt remorse. I did feel shame, and I felt that there was something wrong with me, that immediately after the act, I couldn't shake that feeling, but I knew that feeling was going to come back."
Just so creepy. And that's why I use that word compulsion, because it's like you have to scratch that itch,
Yeah.
I'm also trying to pull up the victims' photos. I did have that, but when I had to remake our stream, I lost it. Moving on to question 3. Did Bundy always kill his victims immediately after abducting them?
No. Nope.
No. Yeah, give us, Will, a typical Bundy encounter scenario.
Well, there is no typical, and that's the thing with Bundy, is there were if we believe that his actual real kill number is 30, about 50% of them, once he got them in his car and they couldn't escape, he dispatched them right away. And then there's the other 15, again, if we're believing the real number is 30. The FBI does not believe, by the way, I should point out, they do not believe that his number is really 30. They actually think it's closer to 37. But if we just take the other half of that, he would incapacitate them and then do whatever he wanted with them. Some of them he kept alive for hours while he tortured them in different ways, physically, with pain, and then sexually and emotionally on top of it all. And he kept alive for hours. And then there are those that Bundy wouldn't really talk about. He wanted to keep kind of close to the chest, and even Bill Hagmeyer, in the interviews with Bundy, he noticed that there were some that Bundy, he'd just be talking, just freely talking about I did this with this victim, and then when he moved on to the next, he said, "Okay, who's the next one?" Bundy would say is, "Well, the next one was, in Utah or wherever it may have been," and he didn't want to elaborate on. Keeping again, though, there's some victims that he didn't want to disclose information about. And then what Bill, as a good interviewer, would do is he would try to come back to those cases, those victims, and Bundy's just didn't want to open up. Like the other cases, he would talk about everything about how he got her in the car, how where he took her, what the fun he had with her, what he did, and how many times he came back, after he killed her. He would freely talk about anything and everything about that victim. But then there were victims where it's like, yeah, I killed her and that, and I dumped her in this hill, grassy, area, just off of the hiking path. Well, and then when he tried to come back to him and talk, get him to open up about it again, Bundy would just like, "No, I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
Yeah, she wasn't anything special to me." But what were the ones that were special? Are those the ones you're giving all the information about? No.
It's also
but to answer your question, there was no typical. What's that?
I wonder if to him, if the situation was more dangerous, more tricky for him, if that was something that would stick in his mind more as a prize to him versus in an abandoned parking lot, and there's no thrill maybe for him in doing this,
well,
because it's
Bundy was also a trophy hunter. And a
Will,
lot of
can you give any confirmation to Ted's grandfather actually being his biological father?
He was not.
Okay,
but
so that was just kind of
there has always been a lot of speculation about Mr. Cromwell, that he was Bundy's biological father. Now, I mean, I guess maybe I should rephrase that in that there's no way to go back right now and through DNA and test either Bundy or his mother or his grandfather. Bundy was cremated. His mother was cremated. His grandfather was buried. I mean, could there be viable DNA? And if so, what would the point be of trying to dig him up to get DNA from him, if you could? But Bundy didn't believe that he was his biological father. So I guess that's the best way to put it, is that in that context.
Looks like it's yeah. God, I swear. Oh, okay. I see what's happening, Will. If I write something, you write it. I'm like, how are we writing at the same time? Sorry, guys. It was going in and out for a minute.
Yeah.
I know. I just realized that because I was thanking Jennifer for the gift earlier. I'm like, oh, we said it at the same time. I think maybe people want that answer because it gives reason to what happened. Like, oh, okay, if there's inbreeding going on, it could raise a serial killer, or the whole reason they wanted to examine Dahmer's brain to see what is going on. Is there a tumor in here? What the hell is causing this to happen?
Well, the serial killers, a lot of people want to believe, or think that it's a biological connection, and because not all serial killers have come from terrible households. And so
That's
you
true.
can't say it's a, it's 100%. They became this way because of nurture or abuse. Again, there are serial killers who are out there that came from perfectly good households, never were abused mentally, physically, or sexually growing up. Um, they, if, even the researchers who came and talked to Bundy were trying to find, a connection between hardcore pornography to alcohol and drug abuse. There wasn't any of that in Bundy's life. I mean, but if you came to Bundy and you talked to him about it, he would tell you, yeah, yeah, alcohol was everywhere in my family. So hardcore pornography, yeah, that's why I did it. There
Right.
wasn't any. He just talked to people and he told them whatever they wanted to hear.
Yeah, and that last, you know, interview with the reporter, the one that's recorded. Oh my gosh, did he make up these detailed stories of when I remember when I was a young boy flipping through the pages of these magazines, and it's almost like he's trying to make you forgive him for his sins, right? If that
Right.
makes sense, versus what you really only need to worry about is, if you're a believer in that, is the Lord forgiving you for your sins. But it's like Ted putting on a show again for
Yeah.
everyone. I'm saved. I'm good. Moving on to question 4. Was Bundy's violence always spontaneous, or did he plan out every attack and nuance of the attack?
Man, the answer is yes and no, I guess. A significant part of his offending involved planning. That's true. Preparation, um, deception, and selecting an individual that was vulnerable. But he also was spontaneous at the same time. So once he figured out a game plan, that a ruse that would work, and was consistently work, he would use it over and over again, and he could use it on a moment's notice if he just happened to come across a victim. Now, where you have to understand, where each and every one of whenever Bundy would use this ruse of being injured, particularly that, not where he was watching, the fraternities, sororities, when he was, cruising up and down that part of his crimes, and then the earlier stuff in Washington State and Idaho and Utah, but particularly in Florida. Bundy had gotten to a point where, as he was building his repertoire of ways to get a victim, he realized that all he needed really was to just get them alone or get them in a vulnerable situation. How about I offer you a ride home? And he didn't give off the creepy, Ed Gein vibe. He looked just like an average, person who was at the beach, or hanging out, at an event. And so, but his ability to appear ordinary played a lot into his ability to get away with it for as long as he did.
Absolutely. And now with social media, there are a lot of people who have come out and said that they believe that they had encounters with him. Now, yes, there could be some bullshit to that, but there also could very well be some situations where he tried and it wasn't successful.
Yeah, yeah. Even Bundy's um, own accounts that he probably tried it, at least 20 times, more, for each victim that he did get, he tried it 20 times and failed.
Yeah, there's a
That's his own
woman.
accounting.
there's a woman I follow on TikTok, and she said that she was in the, I guess when he was up in Washington, probably for a while, her family owned a gift shop, and her cousin was out at the car getting something, and she says that she was approached by a man in a bug and wanted to sell her cookbooks. And she said, okay, let me go into the shop and get my pocketbook. And he said he needed help carrying them or something, and he had one of those slings in his arm. And the woman said, you're not going to help a man, like, just kind of that generation of a man doesn't need your help kind of thing. And she told her, don't go back out there. And she ended up not going back out there, but he stayed in the parking lot for a while and then eventually left because she didn't come back out for the cookbooks. But it's kind of that back in the day, we do the door-to-door sales pitches, right?
Right.
And it's just such a perfect, I hate to use the word recipe for disaster, but, it kind of is. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are making it up for attention, but then there's a lot of people who it's kind of like, what do you even have to lose to come out there with it? You're only going to expose yourself for being a liar.
Don't forget, the lead singer of Blondie, Debbie Harry, she was almost killed by Bundy. He got
what
her
was
in the
her
car.
story exactly?
So she there were circumstances that put her waiting for a bus, and a transit bus, and Bundy, just happened to drive along and offered her a ride. She said no initially, but she did know she had a timeline she needed to get to, her destination by. And he convinced her, like, hey, I'm going that direction. I can give you a ride. You're definitely going to get there, but before you need to be there, why don't you just hop in? And she got into the Volkswagen Super Beetle, and immediately after the door closed, she got what she called, in her own account, she got a creepy vibe from him immediately. And when she reached for the door handle, it just spun. It wouldn't open the door. But luckily for her, the window was down just enough, she said approximately maybe 2 inches. It was enough for her to get her arm out and push the button on the door on the outside, and then she rolled out of the car as he slowed down to turn a corner. But he wasn't going in the direction that she needed to go. Immediately, as soon as the car started going forward, she got a creepy vibe. He had already turned the first corner, and it's like that's in the wrong direction from where you said you were going, and I'm going. So that just
is this the woman who said he said I need to run an errand over by the zoo, or is this a different person?
I don't believe she mentioned anything about a zoo, but she may have. But the circumstances of how she got into the car, was she needed a ride because waiting for the bus. And though it wasn't raining, a lot of people was like, oh, she was raining. That's why she got into a stranger's car. It wasn't raining that particular day, but again, regardless of however she got in the car, she got a creepy vibe for him, and she couldn't get back out. And luckily for her, he had rolled the window down enough to, so she could get her arm out, and open the door. And that was his thing with, each of the Volkswagens that he had, as he had tampered with the inside door handle itself. So the handle would just spin. Instead, it was like a latch that, moves down like this, and that would open the door. But the handle just spun. You couldn't get out.
Had to be the most terrifying moment ever to just feel that panic when you're trying to open the door, do something, and you're like, I'm actually trapped. And then you wonder if he's going to react to it.
Right.
Yeah, I related. I think it may have been a different woman, but she talked about, he said, oh, I'm going that way, but I have to stop by the zoo. And then she said they just kind of cruised past the zoo, and she started to feel uncomfortable. And she said, I was a real chatterbox. So I was talking to him the whole time. But then when he passed the zoo, she said he stopped engaging in conversation with her. And that's when she knew something was wrong, because he was not in there anymore. He was focused on his mission. And somehow, I guess she opened the door and escaped pretty much maybe the same way. Very scary. All right, number 5. Did Bundy really have a type of victim he would seek out, or was it more opportunity based?
Well, it's about, again, 50-50. He appeared to favor young women, younger the better, college age or younger. And he had made comments earlier in his life that kind of, if you look back on his conversation friendship with, was it Anne Rule, right? Yeah, I always get Anne Rule and Anne Rice mixed up. I don't know why in my head, but anyways, when he was working for the suicide hotline, he had made a comment, several comments over the period of time, but the one that stuck out to her the most was he looked at women that were in their 30s as being a waste. So it plays right along into he really did like the younger college age and well, unfortunately, younger.
But it does make you wonder if there was pedophile factor to this, and Kimberly Leach was just the first opportunity for him.
I think Kimberly Leach was. I don't think he planned it. And he never said it himself that he knew just how old she was. If you look at how she was dressed, her body size, hair color, style of cut, it fit so much with the other victims. But to answer the question about the type, no, not really a type. It was more of what he had more of a desire that he wanted younger victims than necessarily like, oh, it can't be, red hair or, black hair, and it has to be, a certain size of woman, can't be over too tall or too skinny. He wanted to be able to control them, and that was the overriding factor for every victim across the board, from Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Utah, Florida. He wanted them young, he wanted them small, and he wanted to be able to physically control them and with everything that they did. So more that than type.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at these pictures, I mean, I can see where people may speculate about the hair part and all of that, but I just think, that was the style then too. You have that factor playing too, that, long hair, middle part kind of thing going on. All right, number 6. Why did Bundy sometimes return to the places where he had left his victims, and what did he do with them?
This is going to get a little graphic.
Right. So we have another component besides killing people and pedophilia.
Yep. Bundy definitely practiced necrophilia with every single one of his victims that he could get back to, that he did not decapitate. and he would go back to them until they became putrid to him, and that is his actual own words. And when they became putrid to me, I stopped going back. And he would go those he didn't decapitate. He would reapply their makeup, brush their hair, um, straighten up their clothes if anything had disturbed them. Move things around that may have been near them, that may have fallen into or on them, brush, weeds or anything. And, he never propped them up in a way, but he got reinvigorated by his own words, by them being there, and for him to be able to do what he wanted to do with them when he went back. Now, he would kill them and leave them, and then within maybe the second visit, maybe the third visit is when he would have sex with them again, and then redress them, and then lay them out and make sure that they were nice and neat. He never wanted them to be exposed to the world. He always made sure that when they were found in a neat, orderly fashion. That was just something that played, his MO. And that's something that he would later tell the FBI about and helped catch, Ridgway, and other criminals later on, is he gave a profile basically of himself to the FBI and said, this is what you're looking for. But what did he do? He did anything and everything he wanted to with them. Sometimes he just sat with them. And there were ones that he actually killed. And he went back and he just sat there and looked at them. And one victim in particular, in the interview with Bill Hagmeyer, he talked about eating his lunch as if he was looking at a mannequin in a field that he had left, and she had been there for, I think, probably about 4 or 5 days at this point. But it didn't bother him because they were his.
But that's kind of like the gross part of it too, is you have to think about the whole decomposition thing, and then the fact that it did not bother him is very disturbing.
Well, he couldn't feel remorse. He couldn't feel empathy for any victim or for anyone
not
at
even
all.
empathy, Will, but like disgust. Like, think about if you're eating your lunch and you smell something gross, it makes your appetite go away, right? Like, he sounds like he's not even functioning like a normal human being.
Well, we're not sociopaths, so we're
right. So it's kind of hard to wrap your head around it.
Right. I mean, to him, it was completely natural. I mean, I don't know anybody who's in the right mind who goes back and says, I killed this one, 2 days ago. I'm going to go back and have sex with her. I'm going to go back and maybe just sit there and look at her. I mean,
did he describe talking to them at all? Like having a conversation even though they weren't going to reply?
Not that I'm aware of. He may have, had, like made small talk, like, well, aren't you looking good today? Or something like that, but never carried on a conversation where he felt like they were talking back to him or they could hear him, in the spirit world or anything like that.
Which doesn't sound too crazy when you think about what he's doing in the first place. So, I mean, I'm just saying, right? Like, he very well could have carried on a conversation. I don't know if you have this included in the welcome in, Gemma and Tom. Does he discuss, Will, how he tried to buy a little more time doing these interviews? Like, I can help you. I can help you catch these people if you keep me alive.
Oh, yeah. Oh, most definitely. when it so the last interview that Bill Hagmaier had with him, full sit down interview, was 2 days prior to Bundy's execution, and he actually called, and he wanted Bill there the day of his execution, and Bill was, Hagmaier was there the day of his execution. And he had already arranged. This is off the subject, but I'll get to that in a second. Your question. Um, he had already made an agreement with Bill Hagmaier that what to do with his ashes after he was executed and had his ashes he was cremated. He had already made an agreement with him on where he wanted to have his ashes spread, and it was something that Bill Hagmaier will not disclose even to this day. Now, leading up to so the last full interview was 2 days prior to his execution. He didn't believe that the state of Florida was going to execute him because they really wanted, there were not, so he talked to the FBI, Bill Hagmaier, 2 days prior, and then other law enforcement agencies, states, and other officers, investigators came and talked to Bundy, and can you help us solve this case? Do you know what happened to this victim? Did you kill somebody in this location? They came and talked to him, and Bundy kept all that, the real answers and everything that they wanted to know close to himself, because he's like, this is my only bargaining chip. Is Bundy believed was going to stop the state. You can't execute me if you know that I have information about these cases, or I can help solve these cases. But what he didn't realize was the governor of Florida at the time didn't give two rat shits about Bundy at all. He was going to execute his ass, and it didn't matter if somebody called in and said give him a stay. The governor probably would have fought him. They really wanted to execute Bundy. So yeah, at the end of
Yeah,
it,
I
he tried everything.
remember the Florida. Was it the Florida DA who came in with the warrant to get the imprints of the teeth and said, "We're gonna fry you here. We're not messing around."
Yep. They were not going to wait
Yes,
at all.
agreed.
One way or another, Bundy was going to die.
As he deserved. Absolutely.
No,
yeah,
Tom
we tried
Baker,
that, Gemma. I don't
Tom
know
Baker said Bill wasn't his friend. No, he wasn't. But Bill sat down and he took it on as his job and his duty to the American public to get as much information out of Bundy as he could. And it didn't matter if Bundy, some interviews, he sat there, and Bundy didn't want to talk about murders or victims at all. All he wanted to talk about was the political climate of the United States, or what's going on in another trial. So Bill would just reach over and turn the camera off and stop the recordings, audio recordings, and just sit there for the rest of the day, maybe 5 hours, 6 hours, however long he could spend that day with him, and just let Bundy vent, and talk about whatever he wanted. And then if he decided he wanted to talk about the cases again, he turned the camera back on, hit the record button on the recorder.
Why did he choose him to open up to? When you think about all the journalists out there that you could say, this is who I want to interview me, what made him have a connection with him?
With Bill Hagmaier? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bill Hagmaier didn't have a choice. He was assigned to the job. And
Okay.
one way or another, Bundy was either going to talk to him or he wasn't. And if Bundy would have told him early on, I don't like you, I don't trust you, they would have just picked another FBI agent and assigned them to the job until he found someone he wanted to talk to.
Gemma's asking, do you think Bundy could have had some type of neurodivergency or personality disorder to make him murder people?
Oh, he definitely had a personality disorder, sweetheart. He definitely did. Yeah. Speaking to Gemma, yeah, he definitely had a personality disorder. But neurodivergency, no.
I didn't pick that up from him. And I think you and I are pretty good at it. Is a wide spectrum, but I see more narcissism in him than anything.
Yeah. There's a great deal of narcissism with Bundy. There's a great deal of narcissism with a lot of serial killers. They only think about themselves, and that's how they survive, and they get away with it. They have to think about themselves and their longevity. They start thinking about other people. You're not going to make a very good serial killer.
Yeah, their only focus. Or if you have empathy, right?
Right.
You can't let someone go. They're going to rat you out. Did Bundy confess to all of the murders? I think you kind of hit it on here, but you also have to think, guys, back in the day and even present day, there are men and women who do work the streets, and there is no one looking for them. No one that's going to report them missing. So you absolutely have to throw a couple of Jane Does in there for sure.
To answer question 7, yeah, he confessed to 30, but the FBI and the investigators, state and local law enforcement from the West Coast to the East Coast and in Florida, and each and every state along the way from Utah to Florida, they believe that Bundy committed murders in at least half of those states. That's why they really believe his murder count is closer to 37 than 30. So no, he did not confess to every one of them, and we will never know the real answer. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes with a lot of serial killers, not just Bundy. You'll never know. Some exaggerate their numbers, to the moon and back, and others will downplay, how many they did. We know, forensically and DNA, and everything else that you killed 16, and they will only confess to maybe 5. So
yeah, and you can
up and down with each and every one.
Yeah, you can only confirm that with what missing reports you have, right, in each state. And if you have a young woman who ran away from home at 13 years old and her parents aren't looking for her, that's a victim that is just, not going to be
right
accounted for. And I'm sure there's some he honestly has just forgotten, because this becomes second nature to him. It's like riding a bicycle.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely.
There could be a picture that pops up and he could say, oh, yeah, I remember her now. I forgot. Yes, he is absolutely a chameleon. Masterful at that. Did Bundy confess to murders he didn't commit?
Well, all right, so it's not an easy yes or no. He did provide details about the murders of sex workers in and around the Tallahassee, Florida area, that investigators didn't necessarily believe that Bundy had anything to do with. They believed that it was a John that killed them, but they didn't think that Bundy did it. And those cases, have never been officially attributed to Bundy. But then, if he didn't have details about the how they were murdered and dumped that match other cases of murders that he committed. But did he confess to ones that he didn't commit? No, but he definitely had details about murders that and I know. I guess it's kind of like people who predict the future. Nostradamus or whatever you might think about, or whoever. Maybe they say something that is just vague enough that it fits something in the past or future.
I kind of agree with Tom's comment about this. It's almost like the more of a challenge it was, the more exciting it probably was for him. Think about an educated college student duping them into going against your intuition would be saying to yourself, I'm not going to get in the car with that guy. I'm not going to help that man. He can go ask another man for help with his sailboat. It's almost like he got off on tricking them too, in a way.
And as the more he talked, the more freedom and leeway Bundy got, and that's how he was able to father his child behind bars.
And was her name Carol or is it Anne?
What? I didn't hear you.
The mother of the child.
Anne?
Is it Anne?
Yeah.
I don't know where I got Carol from.
Well, it might be Carol Ann. I don't remember her. I don't remember her name. Completely. Rose. But there's so many people that are connected to, Bundy's family. People who've changed their names. I'd change my name too if I was related to Bundy, or if I was the offspring of Bundy. I'd change my name.
Yeah, I believe there was speculation she was living in the UK at one time, but no one can really keep track of that because she would change her name.
Yeah.
And it's also like this woman has no control over what her father did. It's a shame. Oh yes, Tom. I'm sure he loved watching the news and seeing all of it unfold in the papers, all of it. Okay, did Bundy really help catch? Oh, go ahead, Will.
No, did he? Yeah, question 9. Did he really help catch
the Green River Killer, or is that an urban myth?
Nope, he did. His profile was spot on about every aspect of what they were looking for when it came to the Green River Killer. Again, he gave them his what did Bundy do and what did Bundy know the best. He gave them his own profile. And you have to remember, this was the behavioral analysis unit with the FBI was in its infancy, and they were just starting to put these things together, and make master profiles of different, types of killers and people who would, committed different types of crimes. And, and basically he said, this is what to look for. And he told them there are 4 things about this killer that you absolutely need to understand when it came to the Green River Killer. And they're like, okay, what are those? And he made a very, very poignant, he said, and he goes, I'll write it down for you if you need to. And they gave him pen and paper, and he wrote them down. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Number 1, in his own handwriting, was, if you find a victim, do not touch that victim. Why? Because the perpetrator, the Green River Killer, is going to know everything about the surroundings around that victim and where that victim is. Number 2, whatever you do, do not stake out the place or the location of our entranceways or exits for it. He's going to be looking for that.
Okay.
Number three on the list is whatever you do, do not tell anyone in the media that she is missing. Is the minute you tell the media that she is missing, that's going to tip off the whoever killed her, that you're looking for her, and that it's now heightened it even more for that person. And number four on the list is whatever you do, do not canvas away from the victim or in from the outside towards the victim. There may be forensics near that victim or tire track. He's watching you just as much as you're looking for him. And those are the four things, and every single one of them were spot on about the Green River Killer. Again, because that was Bundy's profile. That is what Bundy did. He was watching the cops and the location. So he ain't going back to visit the victim again. He ain't going to go back and have that emotional connection with the victim or have sex with that victim again. If he sees that something has changed in a way that, it's like, okay, someone's been here. There was a boot print or a cigarette butt or something that I know wasn't there. He'd bookie out of there in a heartbeat. But yeah, it was spot on. And that profile has helped catch countless murderers and serial killers since then. Not just serial killers. You have to remember this profile. It matched a lot of people who what they call remorseful killers. It's like they maybe they killed their mother or their wife or their girlfriend or whatever, and they go back because they have remorse about the crime itself, and it still fits into that profile that he gave them, and yeah, so it was immensely helpful to the FBI in that aspect.
Did he benefit in any way from helping them crack that case?
Nope.
No extra honey buns or
Nope.
rec
Nothing.
time, nothing special.
Well, he got off on it.
Yes.
He enjoyed the attention.
Ego.
Oh yeah, yeah. He didn't receive any extra food trays or extra rec time or anything else. No, no. He got off on the attention that they were paying to that it was actually working. He was just like, yeah, I know, I told you so, kind of thing.
Yeah. He probably had a glimmer of hope, thinking like, oh, you know what? Maybe they're going to keep me alive since I cracked this one.
There may have been something in Bundy's head about that.
Yeah. Did Bundy kill only in Washington, Idaho, Utah, Colorado, and Florida? Never really know for sure, will we?
That is absolutely true. Again, the FBI believes he killed in at least half of the states as he traveled from the West Coast to the East, to Florida, to the East Coast. But they can't prove it.
Yeah, especially like if we have missing persons cases where the person is not ever reported missing either. Are there any facts to the stories that Ted Bundy would take naps with the dead victims?
Yeah, his own accounting. To answer the question, yes. He escaped custody in one of the first victims that he confessed to afterwards. He admitted that he was so exhausted after the fact, the adrenaline rush of escaping and then committing the murder afterwards. He was so exhausted he laid down and took a nap with the victim. And if anybody would have stumbled across it, it would have looked like two lovers taking a nap in the field.
Right. So he pretty much felt comfortable doing that. Can we
Oh yeah.
talk a little bit? I don't even know if this is in the slides. I can't recall. Can we talk about those escapes really quick?
Well, he escaped twice. The first one, the first one he was, I can't remember. I always get them mixed up. The one was a window, and the other one was a vent.
Yes.
Through the library.
Vent is second one.
Yeah, so the vent is second. So the first one, he escaped out of the window, and the second one, he purposely starved himself to lose weight so he could shimmy out of the vent. But why would you leave anyone like Bundy alone? That in both cases is just like, I don't want to say that it was police, stupidity, but it was. I mean, they knew who they were looking for. They knew what he was wanted for. I mean, you let him into the law library unattended? Come on. But
all of it is just unreal to think about in our lifetime that really happened twice, not just once, but twice. And I remember reading something where he would practice in his cell jumping, trying to prepare his feet and the strength in his legs because of how high up the law library was, where his hearing was going on, and knew he was going to jump from the window because every day he would go there and the window was open, and he devised his plan and knew when he was going to take action.
Yeah,
I'm trying to recall how many days he was on the run. He was on the run for a while.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was.
But on the second one, he had his, I want to call it compulsion. And when he was in Florida, ultimately took the lives of the sorority gals and just, yes. Nothing changes in jails now.
A lot of Tom Baker said that also a lot of small town prisons back then. Yeah, that is one of the changes that has definitely come along, not just from Bundy, but a lot of small municipalities have gotten rid of city jails and gone to contracts with county jails. So there's a county facility, for the county that they would be at, as opposed to city jails.
Yes. To Tom's comment, even the judge said, it's a shame because I would have liked to have you practice in front of me. You would have made a great lawyer.
Yeah, at his murder trial. Yeah. Yeah, but the same judge also told him not to wag his finger at him. And at the same time, he encouraged him and said, "I mean, you're a really intelligent man." He also told me he was acting like a buffoon too. At the same time. And warned him several times about his behavior in court.
I mean, there was a lot of just ridiculous nonsense going on. Proposing so that they're legally married during the trial. I mean, just this judge had to be rolling his eyes every 10 minutes. And remember, he was representing himself too.
Yeah, well, but that's what Bundy wanted. He wanted the media attention. He wanted all eyes on him. That was like the best thing for the entire thing. Him representing himself and him, acting out in court. Yeah, it was all part of his plan. He knew he wasn't going to go away. I mean, get off on the charges. He knew that.
Yeah, he was playing it the best way he could have. Did Bundy ever kill someone that rejected him romantically?
No, not that we're aware of romantically, but they definitely played into the psychopathy of Bundy and that rejection of why he would do the things he would do later. He made damn sure that they couldn't have rejected him, later on.
Right, a second time.
And each and every one, if you want to look back on it, was a surrogate of his girlfriend. And if you look at his girlfriend, you can make direct connections between how she looked and his mother and his aunt.
Yeah.
So
Okay, was Bundy's bizarre courtroom behavior a part of his defense?
yes, it was all an act. He knew that as much as he studied. Now he didn't have any law degree. Bundy didn't get a law degree. Bundy's actual study in college was Chinese and Chinese culture. He attended law school for a very brief amount of time. He knew enough to make himself sound smart at parties and at social gatherings, and it played into his political ambitions and his helping, certain people within political circles. But
Didn't
he had no
he
law
work
degree.
for one of the campaigns at one time too?
He did for governor in Washington. He worked for as a volunteer.
Really just blend in there though.
But if that wasn't the only one, I mean, he helped people with who are running for city council. He helped people and handed out flyers, leaflets, whatever you call them, for get out the vote, an early campaign for something along those lines. He helped Republicans. He helped Democrats. He helped people who are running on the Green Party. He really didn't have any real political affiliation, although he was more connected with the Republican Party than the Democratic Party. But he didn't believe like in the Republican values over the Democratic values or the Communist Party or the Green Party. It's like you need someone, and if he felt like he could help, he would help. And that was. Yeah,
it's funny you say it that way, right? But I mean, I get it. It's part of his shtick, right?
Yeah.
He's out into the community and he's so smart and he has a girlfriend and he's a stepdad and all this shit.
Yeah, and at the same time, here he is. He's helping out with the suicide hotline. He was awarded with, an actual certificate, not like a trophy, picture or something like that. But he did receive a certificate for helping save, several people who had called into the suicide hotline, and it probably meant absolutely zero to Bundy as an individual. But he played it up like it meant something to him in his short time there.
Right. Saving lives and taking them in the same breath. Just polar opposites. Ego. Feeding the ego.
Yeah.
What is one of the darkest misunderstandings about Bundy's final days? I wouldn't say this is one of the darkest, but one of my thoughts always was I was really shocked he didn't have a special meal. He seems like the type of guy who would get a steak and lobster to me and make it everything it can be.
I think one of the darkest misunderstandings is that in the final hours of his life that he really wanted to help. He kept a lot of what he knew or what he could have done to help investigators. He kept it close to himself, and believing that calling the bluff that they were really going to execute him.
Do you think he really?
a lot of his. Oh, sorry, I was going to say a lot of his final confessions were incomplete.
Yeah. Do you think um, he found God, or we're playing an act?
No, no, yeah. Religion was always something to Bundy that he didn't understand, and he actually he mentioned to Bill Hagmaier that he found people who had religious faith in any faith, Christianity, Judaism, it doesn't matter what it was, Hinduism. He found people with faith to be weak.
Wow. That's so bizarre too, because I do remember in the television interview he was saying, "Do you feel you've been saved?" And he just pauses for a moment, and I remember seeing his eyes shift. And I know some of this can't always be true, but they talk about body language specialists a lot. But I remember he kind of like licked his lips, and that is a sign of deception as well. And he said, "Oh yes, absolutely." And you can just feel he doesn't even connect to what he's saying, and it's pretty scary. Yeah, he saw a sucker. He did. I mean, there were people out there with signs, T-shirts, buttons made. I think I remember seeing like "It's Friday," FRY, BAY.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my subscribers, Kitty Coo, was actually there. She has a
Really?
T-shirt. Yeah, the T-shirt, Fry Bundy Fry. There were people who turned off their power. Purposely called the power company, turned it off because they believed that they needed to have enough voltage to make sure that Bundy really fried.
To preserve the energy, right? And he had final words, and I believe all he said is "Give my love to my family," right?
Yeah. Still would like to know where he, Bill Hagmaier spread his ashes. I know he spread them in the Cascade Mountains, but where?
Well, I have to think it's by the victims, right? That's what I always thought.
Right.
Which is so disrespectful. But it'd actually be funny if he didn't request or like fulfill his request. And he was just like, put him in the toilet. It's like, screw you, Ted.
Yeah, I mean, for Bill Hagmaier, it took a lot. It wasn't like a routine trip down to outside of Virginia or someplace, from where he lived to spread his ashes. He had to fly all the way across the United States to fulfill the wishes of Bundy to spread his ashes somewhere in the Cascades. So
and
he probably
didn't have the media coverage you did like we do now, where we are literally standing outside to make sure like Epstein's body is seen as it gets put into that, because there's so many like conspiracy theories. But to think of this guy on a plane carrying his ashes is very unsettling to think about.
Good. Yeah, I'm going to be in the Cascade Mountains here in, I don't know what, today's Friday, Saturday, Friday. Today's Friday. I had to think about what day of the week it is. That's sad.
Yeah.
It's Friday. I'm leaving Sunday and headed to the Cascades. Find a little wooden cross in the mountain someplace.
This lake, Sammamish, I think that's how you say it. I also read another encounter that very well, guys. I can't confirm it. I can only go by the woman's story, but she shared a story on TikTok. She was probably 13, 14 years old. She said she was kind of an outcast type girl, didn't have a lot of friends. And she said she went over to a part of the lake where she was by herself. And this was back in the days when, kids were free ranging. So she said she was over there and there was a raft that she would like kind of swim back and forth out to. And she said that she was approached by Ted and he said he was a lifeguard. And he would ask her just a lot of questions about what are you studying? What are you interested in? Just a lot of invasive questions. And then she said they got to the point where they were out on the raft and he kept pushing her head underwater, but he would bring her back up. And she would say, like, why are you doing this? And he would say, well, I'm such a good lifeguard, aren't I? Like, look, you were drowning or, and then he would tell her, I'm just kidding with you. And then he would pull her up on the dock. And then at some point, the mom came along and really thought nothing of it because she said he was dressed in like red shorts or white shorts and had an actual whistle on, which I could absolutely see him playing the part of it too. Could be bullshit, could be real. Yeah, I could see him saying it too. Like, yeah, I'm a lifeguard, aren't I great?
The Lake Sammamish, is that the one where they believe that he may have drowned? Wasn't it? He was a teenager.
Yeah, and that's why apparently he kept going back there. So when you mentioned right away that his ashes were spread, that was always my thought, or in the mountains where he left the remains of some of these women. Well, here's my question though, Mike. How does she confirm that story? Did she have other witnesses who saw it? I'm just curious. I'm not saying she's lying because it sounds exactly like something he would do. I'm just curious, did she have other people confirm and corroborate her story? Have there been any copycat murders like Ted Bundy?
I mean, you could draw conclusions that there have been other murderers who predate Bundy who did the same thing, and then ones after Bundy who did the same thing, had the same MO. Were there copycats like Bundy? I mean, that's for the individual to decide. I know as far as the FBI is concerned, no, there has never been a complete, somebody who traveled around by a Volkswagen Super Beetle and killed people and had practiced the different things that Bundy would have done. Now I was going back through my notes of the final hours on Bundy. On the eve of his execution on January 23rd, 1989, Bundy final walkthrough of unsolved cases with Hagmaier before stepping into the electric chair. Bundy explicitly requested a moment alone with Hagmaier to say goodbye, where he agreed to spread Bundy's ashes in an undisclosed location in the Cascade Mountains. Hagmaier did not fly with Bundy's ashes. The ashes were picked up at the coroner's office where they were shipped to. Ahead of Hagmaier actually getting them, he then got the ashes and then went to the Cascade Mountains to an undisclosed location to spread them. Because this place was something that meant something special to only Bundy. So, but Bill Hagmaier will not say where they are, where this location was.
I think they're in the toilet.
Yeah.
I
saw the comment from Gone Girl. Flush him down the toilet.
Yeah, I think he flushed them. I mean, I was just looking because I was curious. Dahmer's years, and that was 78 to 1991. Technically, it's similar, except it's men. It's a gay relationship, and he took it a step further with the cannibalism. But it sounds a lot like Bundy, preying on a certain type, making them feel powerless, spending time with them after the murders. Very bizarre behavior, but taking it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, but Dahmer wanted to make a sex zombie, though. And he really believed he was getting closer and closer to the ultimate goal of making that sex zombie. So, but Bundy wasn't looking to make a sex zombie, but Dahmer definitely was, and that was what his entire thing was he wanted somebody that he could control and do everything with, and they would do everything for him.
Yeah. I also was thinking the other day, I wonder if the Brian Koberger case could have turned into something similar to Bundy had he not been stopped, where he was preying on sororities. Like, was this going to become an ongoing thing where he would pick sororities and stalk and plan? And obviously we don't know too much about that case yet. A lot of things weren't totally divulged about it. Like, I can't believe the police interviews still haven't been released in that case. That blows my mind. I mean, he wasn't a Bundy, but I'm saying, could he have been a Bundy if he wasn't stopped? And the reason I say that is because he had a fascination with Bundy in class.
I mean, I have a fascination with Bundy, but I'm not out killing people.
Right.
Or am I? I'm not.
You think he just got started? Yeah, I highly believe the same. I think he wouldn't have stopped either. I really agree with you on that. I think he thought he was smart enough to continue to do this for a while.
Well, when it comes to Brian Kohlberger, from what I understand from former classmates of his at Washington State University, is he always had to be the one who had the correct answer. He always had to be the one who knew more about whatever it was, the subject matter that they were, learning, discussing, about. He had to know more. Kohlberger needed to be the center of attention. Bundy, he may have admired, the crimes and the amount of crimes that he got away with, but Bundy didn't want to be the center of attention. He wanted no one to remember or even know who he was, and that's how Bundy got away. He was able to do what he did and blend in and out of society, from location to location.
And we're talking about such different times now. Back then, hitchhiking was not a big deal at all. It's like, hey, I'm going that way. Let's go together. No big deal.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when we look at the Highway of Tears in Canada, a lot of those victims were hitchhiking.
Yeah.
So there was a time and a place when people were more trustworthy of of trusting of their neighbors, of the stranger in town. You kept them at a distance, but when they found out that they weren't weirdo, or someone to worry about, Bundy never was.
Do you want to talk about this at all, Will? The
So
last minute confession?
this is you can find this online in case anybody is interested. This is the actual transcript of the last interview with Ted Bundy by Bill Hagmaier from the FBI. Um, this is a shorter, condensed version of the entire conversation, and these are actually typed out. So I know that it's dependent upon your settings, and the quality of your screen. You can see a lot of dots and stuff like that. It it was typed out, then it was printed, and then it was archived, and then so we're looking at maybe like the third or fourth version of it itself. But this is with Bill Hagmaier from the FBI. Again, he interviewed and talked with Bundy from 1984 to 1989 inside of the Florida State Penitentiary. Over 200 hours of interviews with him, and Bill Hagmaier with the information that that I talked about in this stream, along with the information he learned that from not only Bundy but with other serial killers, was the primary catalyst to help put together what now is known as the Behavioral Analysis Unit with the FBI.
Now, the Bundy tapes, is that what this is, Will? I mean, I don't know if you... Okay.
Part of them. Yeah, from death row in Florida.
Yes, there's actually an entire documentary, and it's very chilling. I mean, just reading this last line, I can, in my head, picture exactly how he would say it, too. He's like, well, I just really will summarize it. California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Colorado, Florida, between 1973 and 1978.
Yeah.
He just had a way of talking.
Oh, yeah.
Is there truth to Liz, the girlfriend, visiting him and getting him to come forward with some of these crimes?
About her what?
Coming to visit him in prison and getting him to detail how he did some of these crimes.
Oh. Sort of. She encouraged him to continue to communicate with the FBI, because Bundy originally wanted to quit talking with Bill and any law enforcement after he realized, well, the gig is up and they're going to execute me. And she wanted him to continue, because as long as you're continuing to talk, and share information, that's going to prolong the amount of time you're here. And maybe something you can say or know about will help. I think that a lot of people from the outside had hope that he could say something or do something that it wasn't going to get him off of out of prison, but maybe they could get him committed for life with no possibility of parole. Maybe that was their hoop dream.
Right. It's just kind of interesting reading some of this. You can tell Bill is really playing into his ego, saying here,
oh yeah,
I know it's a difficult question because you're a different person now than you were then.
Yep.
But to search back, And, a little bit of this is taken back. And he's saying, oh, perhaps half a dozen.
So approximately 12 of the 30 had their heads severed. Were there any other body parts? Bundy. Oh, you mean generally speaking?
What
Well,
does it
hands,
even
feet,
mean?
breast, sexual organs, any other parts, ears, or whatever. Yeah.
It's
And
just
those,
interesting.
and I didn't touch on. I touched on it earlier about some of them that were decapitated. Bundy kept them, with him. He was a trophy hunter. Just like a lot of serial killers, they wanted that memento. If it wasn't part of their body, it was their driver's license or a piece of jewelry. It was
Yes.
something that they could tactily touch later on that reminded them of where they could relive their crime and that event over and over again. For John Wayne Gacy, it was the 3-ring binders of all of the cases against him
Wow.
that he got to keep in his cell with him at all times. He got to thumb through them, and he got to memorize everything that they had, against him. But the pictures of his victims alone was enough for Bundy, and for Gacy, and for Ridgway, and for Robert Yates. The picture alone was enough for them because they could remember the event, getting them, killing them, what they did afterwards with that victim. Special kind of psycho.
What are your thoughts on him saying that he had to kind of be really intoxicated to do this? I almost don't really believe that. I think maybe a little bit, but not always. Like he didn't always have to be drunk or on something to do these murders.
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all.
Almost
That
like he's
he
making a
had to
cover
be
for
under the
it.
influence to do anything at all. I think that Bundy in his own mind was more than enough encouragement to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before Bill Hagmeyer became a special agent or profiler, the profiling was just starting off, and that's what they were putting together.
This is interesting how he says he has no idea where the urge came to bite the victims before 1970.
Right.
Really interesting.
Original member of the FBI's Behavioral Analysis in the BAU. And all of these things, you would think, with all the information we've learned from Bundy, Gacy, Ridgway, Robert Yates, you name it, all of them, all the serial killers that we know of. First off, the serial killers that we all learn about and read about and see videos about and we talk about here, this is a drop in the bucket when it comes to the actual total number of serial killers who have actively been here in America and hunted and killed between 1960 and 1990. They are a drop in the bucket.
And it's crazy to think that, but it's
Yep.
so many factors in this. The fascination of his intelligence level. I mean, let's be honest, he was a smooth talker. He's not hideous.
No.
I mean, he looks like a normal college guy who could have been a lawyer. It's very scary.
I always wonder, what Bundy could have been. I don't know if would he have been able to be a lawyer? Would he have the demeanor? I guess the best thing to say, demeanor to be in law. Um, I don't know, but I know for
Politics.
sure one thing about Bundy is he definitely, after he went away to, started college, community college, before he went on to, different schools in and around the Puget Sound area. He definitely had a choice.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I didn't even really think about the difference too that Dahmer had, I think, a 9 or 10 year gap where he didn't do anything. And that's a
That they
big
know
chunk of
about.
time where you would think to yourself, okay, I've changed, I'm different, and then it just starts back up again. But it seems like Bundy was pretty consistent throughout his life, but also how much can you believe too?
Anchor Cornholio. Love the name. Are you talking about
Oh,
No Man of God?
I haven't seen that
I'm
one.
not
I
sure which
saw
movie
the.
that is.
Let's see.
2003. No Man of God. Um, if you are, that was based off of the transcripts. But I don't know. There have been a lot of movies that have been made about Bundy over the years. Documentaries, movies that have either taken
Definitely.
transcripts from Bill Hagmeyer or others.
Dahmer is one that I told Will I want to cover for sure. That is one where I am
That is a really good
blows my mind.
question by Cornholio. Hopefully, he doesn't need TP for his bunghole. But if if there was if Bundy was out killing today, would there be footage of his crimes? And that's what a lot of people don't understand about. They have the misunderstanding that there is so much CCTV footage out there, cameras that are catching everything, flock cameras that are reading their license plates, that these things can't take place today. No, the actual fact is they are happening right now, and they've been happening the entire time we've been talking today. These crimes are still happening, and just like you and me, we know where these cameras are. They know
Right.
where they are too, and they just avoid them. And where Bundy, abducted and got his victims from, there may have been, maybe today, if it's happening in 2026, there would be cameras on these college campuses in the parking lots. Yeah, for sure. But Buddy would have known that, and he would have just moved the location of where he and how he was getting the victims, just like the ones that are out there doing it today. That if you know there's a
Right.
camera here, you're not going to go there. If you know there's no camera here, you're going to go there. And when it comes to the truck stops across America, there are a lot of cameras and lights and stuff like that. You can't get catch a lot lizard, a prostitute working truck to truck and kill her and discard her anywhere. But the trucks park at other places too on side streets where there's no cameras. They park, in industrial areas, so you can get them there in places where the cameras are not going to be.
I
So
mean,
if
it is amazing. You think about even the Brian Koberger case. All we really have is a glimpse,
of the
very
car,
short glimpse of a
yeah,
Honda.
Yeah.
And you would think at this day and age, you would have had more audio on the Ring cameras. You had a little bit, not a lot. I mean, I think I expected more video evidence. Also, another interesting fact, I remember the media at the lake had the reporter say, if you were there at the lake this day, police want you to bring your photographs. This is back in the day when you would snap a picture with Polaroid, air it out, let it dry, and they
Right.
wanted to see if they could see Bundy in the crowd. It's very possible there are pictures of him blending in the crowd out there today, and someone hasn't even thought to look to see, hey, that's him.
To Tom Baker's comment, a killer drifter.
Mm-hmm.
Samuel Little. Samuel Little has by far the highest confirmed kill count of any serial killer in America. His official kill count that they know of and can confirm is 97. And he was a drifter, but he was a day laborer, musician, and he was a pimp. He was a drug dealer. He had multiple different occupations over his lifetime, and did it, commit the crime, move on. Those are very rare when it comes to serial killers. Those who can move from location to location. There used to be a lot more. Now, we have to understand that, especially in the 1950s and 60s, there were a lot more killers because of the interstate highway and expansion. And people could kill, and maybe they were in sales, or they worked in an occupation where they traveled for work, besides sales. So there were a lot more of those. But now you have your Gary Ridgways, who are set in stone. They have a job, a home, a car, everything, and they can do whatever they want, and they do whatever they want, whenever they want, because they prey upon the marginalized part of society, the ones that nobody will bat an eyelash, at, if they disappear tomorrow. So.
Right. And there's a lot of those cases too. It's like I said, there's people that leave and they're not reported missing, and it's a target for sure.
Oh, Anthony,
Well,
so well. Oh, and your
I did try to find, if there was a foundation or anything to donate in honor of the victims, and I could not find anything, you guys. Obviously, Will and I don't do this to sensationalize Bundy whatsoever. It's more to educate and learn. And if there is any way we can help victims, we try to. Kind of looked into this, and I couldn't find anything to think of.
Yeah, there isn't anything out there. The one thing I could possibly suggest, if you really wanted to make a donation, is look in your local area for a domestic violence shelter, and they're always severely underfunded. Nobody wants to think about domestic violence, and those trying to escape, domestic violence. And a lot of the domestic violence shelters have taken on a second role on top of that, not only helping those escape domestic violence, but also getting into stopping people from being sex trafficked. So
yeah,
if you got a couple of bucks that you want to give
thing.
to someone, give it to them.
I'll just pull
How
this
do I
up here.
feel about the
And
last victim? Go ahead. What?
oh, I was just going to say, I'll pull this up. I feel like if I can do anything, maybe even just get our eyes on some of the most recent um, missing people out there. Just to pull it up. You never know. You might be traveling and bump into someone. And guys, human trafficking is real. Out here in Atlanta, it is really happening. It's happening to where if you're taking your kids to the park, you do not leave them unattended. You do not. Because one of the biggest tactics they're using here in Atlanta is they're using women to approach children and coerce them to come with them, which a lot of young kids may be vulnerable and say, you know, it's a woman. She wants to give me a toy. Or, hey, I have puppies in my truck. Do you like puppies? Do you want to come see them? And that is a big tactic that they're using here, which is terrifying. I have these conversations with my kids all the time. Anyone pull up to the house and say they want to show you a puppy, kittens? No, run back to the house.
The television series Jail, where they go into jails and they the show's about the booking of people in the jails.
Okay.
And they go all over a lot of different jails. I mean, across the United States, but in the Las Vegas, Nevada area, when interviewing those who were females who were being brought into jail for different types of crimes, didn't have to be just necessarily prostitution, but 63% of all those that were brought in for theft or for drug offenses, intoxication, fighting, whatever it was, 63% were sex trafficked.
Wow.
That's in the Las Vegas, Nevada area. That's a lot of people. And it's one of the hubs across the United States.
Yeah.
Atlanta, Georgia is one of them as well.
Especially
and, so is
you
Austin,
can get on
Texas.
a plane. Yeah, and you can go anywhere in the country from Atlanta. It is a hub of
Yep.
going
They don't have
across
to
the
have to
country.
keep them in the United States. They can be gone tomorrow. All you gotta do is move them over the southern border, get them over the southern border, and then you can fly them anywhere, and no one's gonna ask questions.
Yeah, it's amazing just like looking at these faces, you know, sometimes I'm looking at a glimmer and I'm like, gosh, I remember seeing this person's story on the news. And it's crazy.
I have profiled over
week,
120 people who are missing and endangered now. Every Sunday during trivia, I always profile two people who are missing and endangered. Nobody knows exactly why they're missing. There's a myriad of different reasons why people go missing. But a lot of them.
Yeah, some people want to be, right? But also there's cases of meeting someone online. And that's really scary to think. You might think you're buying something off a marketplace and you get put in a van and you're trafficked. I mean, that's real shit.
Yeah.
Scary.
It happens.
Next week, guys, we won't have a show because Will's going to be traveling, but we will pick it back up when, what date is it? God, I can't believe it's August already.
I know, right?
So around the 21st, you guys let us know if there's particular cases that you are interested in having us cover. We have some in mind, but we're not like set in stone of which ones we're going to cover. So please feel free to email us and make suggestions. Also, if I think most of the people in here do kind of follow Will. I know Olga, I don't think you follow Will, but he would love his trivias on Sunday. So I'm just going to pull up his page so you can see it real quick. Actually, let's see. Let me take this down for a second.
This coming Sunday on my channel is Alan Legreer. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. I'm just looking at my notes. Legere, Canadian from Canada, serial killer from Canada, New Brunswick. I think I could be pronouncing that completely wrong. Because I have it spelled 2 different ways here. I have it with Legere or Legreer or Legreer. I don't know. I'll have to look at it again. But that was every trivia night that I do on Sundays are suggested by those who watch it. So.
And they're really good. I'm not just saying it because I think, Will's awesome. And of course, we're friends, but he really takes the time to look these things up. And it's not just like he's running a bunch of shit through AI. And at this day and age, that's important because people just don't do it anymore. They're lazy. They just.
I left my last partnership because they were using AI, and I found I used them for almost 4 months, and I paid for 12 months. And they still won't give me back my money. So that's a whole nother story.
Wow.
But anyways, and I paid for 12 months, and then I found out that there had been 3 previous times that they had given me questions and answers to trivia questions. Now, this company that I was using, they run the world's largest pub trivia. So if you ever go into a bar or a pub or whatever, and they have trivia night, and they have those little, computer things where you enter either A, B, C, or D, all right, on the little thing, and it gives you a ranking and a score. You're playing against other teams in the bar. That's this company, okay?
Okay.
They had hallucinated questions. Now, I was not aware that they were using AI until a Christopher Watts question came up, and the question was, what years were Christopher Watts a law enforcement officer in California? And I was like, he never lived in California, and he never was a cop. Why is it giving me this question? And then when I fired it off back to the company, and all they did was they sent me a canned reply. Sorry, thank you for bringing this to our attention. And I was like, then I started going back to my catalog, and I realized that there were questions that I relied upon, that I used in trivia nights. So, that was it. And unfortunately, thousands of people, across the world have used these questions or answered these questions in pub trivia.
Yeah, I mean, I just, wanted to say that because we put a lot of hard work into it. Even like these little slideshows that are put together, guys. These are, it's appreciated, when you send your donations and things. They definitely are going to go towards StreamYard. I'm going to figure out what this Echo is. I don't know what it is yet. Maybe it's the GoPro. Maybe it's the laptop, but I'm going to figure it out.
Well, the video quality is definitely better on your end.
No. Thanks to my husband for setting
this
cool light up.
He Jennifer's IT
specialist. No, he's our
my wife is the HR.
Yeah, she's HR. She is helping us approve. I'm going to be doing also some engraving, you guys, that I think we'll do a raffle where if you donate to an organization, and we'll just take your word for it that you donated. I'm not going to like make you show me a credit card receipt or anything, but if you donate to some organizations, we'll put you in a drawing, and I don't even have anything here that I've engraved around me, but I make charcuterie boards and all types of things. So we'll try to do some fundraising for these episodes as well. So maybe muting. Well, I'm sure it's just a dumb quirk. I know it's on my end. I just got to figure out what it is still, but we'll figure it out.
All of this, ladies and gentlemen, is a learning curve. It for both of us, not just on Jennifer's side. It's on my side as well. Trust me, not even an hour before we went live tonight, we were trying to figure out how to get this to stream to both channels. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, how do I do this? Wait, oh, there it is. And figuring these things out. You don't see the behind the scenes, stuff that we work on to get these things, ready.
Yeah, and I drive Will nuts, texting him every day. Oh, I think we should do this. I think that's what I
wouldn't say that, but
I drive him nuts. But I was like, I said it's almost good that you saw my husband today and he gets a name with a face, because I'm always talking about, well, I'm getting talking to Will about we do this episode or we do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have a good time talking about the stream quality. Oh, the conversation's quality. Well, I appreciate that, you guys. As soon as we get rid of the echo, it'll be so much better. But curious what your thoughts are on the quality if you're a subscriber of Will's, because Will usually uses Restream. I was thinking, Will, maybe on Sunday you should use this and just see what people like better. See what happens.
Oh, well, we've gone back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
I mean, there are features that StreamYard that we're using right now has that Restream definitely doesn't have. And vice versa, back and forth. It's like, and none of this is free. And I know a lot of people demand that it be free and think that it should be free, but there is nothing out there at all. And this is the crazy part, is we would be able to do this just on YouTube using their streaming software and only their software, and we would probably have zero issues. But the problem is YouTube will not allow you to use slides. So we can't put the picture, the question on the screen. We could use another program to put them on, and that's what we have to pay for, is this.
Yeah.
So.
And it's nice to have the banners and the comments. But I think the best thing is engaging with you guys, because that's the whole reason we do it. We want to have conversation and learn from each other, for sure.
Oh yeah.
You see it when you see it. Well, thank you guys again, and Will, we hope you have safe travels. If we don't see you Sunday,
yeah, as long as I don't get eaten by a mountain lion or a bear.
I hope that you go on a hike and you find Bundy's remains and you can get them and put them in the toilet for us.
Well, I don't know about that. I probably won't move but more than 20 yards away from the cabin that I'm going to.
Hey, it's well deserved.
It's my way of recharging my batteries. I turn off and I don't have any electronic devices. I don't know about the news, don't care. Nothing for 4 days. I just sit in the mountains and do nothing. It's the best thing. The silence, and you can't hear a car alarm.
Yeah.
You can't hear that constant jingling of a notification on your devices. Nothing at all. It helped, at least for me. It's the best thing in the world.
No, I agree. I feel that a lot when I go to Michigan and I visit my family's house. I don't want to give up too much personal information, but one day I said to my mom, God, it's just so relaxing here. Why is that? And she goes, well, because you're running a bunch of devices at your house, like a fan, and you got, dehumidifiers going and air filters. And she's like, I don't do a bunch of that. I'm like, I guess that's true. Less is good, I think. It's nice to disconnect.
I think the whole world needs to.
Yeah. I call it a true crime detox.
It is.
It's good. It's good for you.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for coming and hanging out with us tonight for the questions and answers on Ted Bundy. If you have a suggestion, for a topic that you'd like to see us covered, put it in the comment now or, afterwards if you're watching this later on. We really would love the feedback.
Yeah.
Give it a thumbs up, to Jennifer or to me, whichever, or both of us. We both like a thumbs up. I mean, they're free.
Yeah, it is free.
In the meantime, everyone, you all have a terrific week ahead. I will see you all, and I'm going to be gone 10 days. So,
and if you feel like relaxing after your vacation, I understand that too. So you just let me know if you need a break from your vacation, because I've always needed that too.
I'm good. The worst thing about my vacation, though, is at the day that I come home, I have to turn around and I have to start it all back over again. So it's like I go, I relax, and all of a sudden, everything stops while I'm gone, and then I come back and everybody is everywhere.
Yep. We started school this week, so it's been busy.
That's life.
Yep. The cycle continues. All right, guys, I will leave you with the victims, and we'll catch you in the next one. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.